I used to assume bottled water was the safe default, the thing you grab when you don't trust the tap. That assumption doesn't hold up nearly as well as the marketing wants you to believe, especially once you look at real, independently published lab results instead of the picture of a mountain on the label. I picked 9 brands you can find in almost any gas station, grocery store, or big box retailer in every part of this country. No regional imports, no specialty brands you'd have to hunt down, just the water sitting on the shelf wherever you happen to be shopping. Then I checked what actual testing is found in each one. My name is Volter. I farm for a living, and the same habit that keeps me from buying junk at the feed store, flip it over and read the label before you trust the picture on the front, works exactly the same way in the water aisle. So let's go through what Consumer Reports found when they tested dozens of bottled waters for PFAS, the so-called forever chemicals, and heavy metals, plus one more brand with a documented FDA recall worth knowing about. And then I'll give you the 3 that came out clean. Here's the rule before we start. PFAS chemicals are used in things like nonstick cookware and waterproof packaging, and they're called forever chemicals because they don't break down. They accumulate in your body and in the environment over time. The EPA finalized enforceable limits on some PFAS compounds in 2024 at 4 parts per trillion for the 2 most studied ones, with a stated health goal of 0, which tells you how seriously regulators take even a small detectable amount. Consumer Reports used a stricter threshold in their own testing, 1 part per trillion, to flag anything worth a second look. First, Topo Chico, owned by Coca-Cola and stocked in nearly every grocery store in the country at this point. This one had the single highest PFAS reading in Consumer Reports' entire test, 9.76 parts per trillion, nearly 10 times the EPA's newer enforceable limit. When CR retested later, the company had cut that number by more than half, but the scientists CR consulted still considered the reduced level higher than they'd want to see in something people drink daily. Second, Perrier, sold in virtually every supermarket nationwide and flagged among the carbonated waters that came back above the 1 part per trillion threshold CR used. Third, La Croix. Same story, same national shelf presence, same threshold exceeded in CR's testing of carbonated waters. Fourth, Poland Springs Sparkling Line. Available coast to coast under the Nestlé and now Blue Triton umbrella, flagged in the same carbonated batch. Worth being precise, this applies specifically to the sparkling version, not necessarily every product the brand sells. Fifth, Deer Park, another Blue Triton brand distributed nationally, one of only 2 still non-carbonated waters out of 35 CR tested that came back with detectable PFAS above their threshold. The company told CR its more recent testing came back undetectable, which is worth knowing. Results can shift as filtration gets updated, and that's a fair point on their part. Sixth, Fiji Water, sold in basically every major retailer in the country. This one isn't a PFAS story. It's a different problem entirely. In 2024, the FDA recall records show Fiji's parent company recalled close to 1.9 million bottles after testing found manganese and 3 kinds of bacteria in the water, a real documented recall, not a rumor. Now here's the thing I want to be fair about before I give you the 3 that passed. This is based on published testing from a specific round, and results can shift as companies adjust filtration and sourcing. A brand flagged here isn't necessarily still at that exact level today, and that's exactly why checking for current independent test results matters more than trusting any single report as permanent gospel, including this one. Here are 3, all sold nationwide in basically every grocery store, pharmacy, and gas station in the country that did not turn up on the flagged list for PFAS, heavy metals, or contamination recall. The first is Smart Water, owned by Coca-Cola and sold everywhere from convenience stores to big box retailers. It uses vapor distillation, boiling the water and condensing the steam back into liquid, a process that leaves dissolved solids, most heavy metals, and a wide range of contaminants behind since they can't travel with the vapor. The second is Aquafina, PepsiCo's brand, sold in essentially every retailer in the country. It goes through reverse osmosis filtration on a municipal water source, a process that's genuinely effective at stripping out PFAS and heavy metals, and it did not appear on CR's flagged list. The third is Dasani, Coca-Cola's answer to Aquafina, equally available nationwide. Same story, reverse osmosis treatment on a municipal source, and no flagged results in the testing I found. I want to be straightforward about what past means here because I don't want to oversell it. It means these 3 weren't among the brands flagged for detectable PFAS above threshold, heavy metals above CR's recommended limit, or a documented recall in the testing and records I could find. It's not a lifetime guarantee, and I'd also be straight with you about something else. Aquafina and Dasani are honestly filtered municipal tap water, not spring water, whatever the label styling might suggest. That's not a hidden secret. It's disclosed in the fine print. It's just not what most people assume they're paying for. Here's why I think this matters beyond just these 9 brands. A 2018 study out of Orb Media and SUNY Fredonia found microplastic contamination in 93% of bottled water tested across 11 brands in 9 countries, with some brands showing more than 1,000 plastic particles per liter. More recent research cited by the NIH found a single liter of bottled water can contain roughly 240,000 tiny plastic particles on average, most of them nanoplastics small enough to potentially cross into human cells, and that plastic comes primarily from the bottle itself, not the water source. That's not a brand-specific issue, it's a plastic bottle issue, which means even a brand that tests clean for PFAS and heavy metals is still packaged in the exact material generating that microplastic load in the first place. So here's what I'd actually suggest doing with all this. Check the label for how the water was processed. Reverse osmosis or distillation generally means more thorough removal of contaminants than water bottled with minimal treatment straight from a spring. If you can, look up whether your regular brand has recent independent test results published. Consumer Reports and the Environmental Working Group both track this on an ongoing basis, and a quick search takes less time than reading a cereal box. And if your local tap water is decent, a countertop or under-sink filter rated for PFAS reduction will often get you cleaner water for a fraction of what you're spending shipping bottled water across the country in the same plastic, contributing to the microplastic problem to begin with. I'll leave you with the bigger point because it's the one that keeps showing up no matter what I'm testing. Bottled water sells itself as the pure, natural alternative to whatever's coming out of your tap, and for some brands, in some testing rounds, that holds up. But bottled was never a guarantee of clean. It's a marketing category. And the only way to actually know what you're drinking is to look at real testing data instead of trusting a picture of a mountain or a glacier on the label. Tell me in the comments which of these 9 you've got in your fridge right now. I read every one of these, and I genuinely like to know how many of you had no idea Topo Chico's PFAS level was the highest one Consumer Reports found. And if you've switched to a home filter instead of buying bottled water, tell me what you're using, because I'd rather compare notes with all of you than assume I found the only answer myself. Next time, I want to look at what's actually inside the plastic bottle itself, because it might be adding more to your water than anything the source ever put there. Until then, read the label before you trust the picture. And remember, if a company won't show you the test results, that's usually the answer in itself.